Good morning, everyone. Hope it's a beautiful day where you are. It looks really nice and clear skies, sunny day where I am today. I've been really bored the last few days, aside from being a bit paranoid, and I spent a lot of time just scrolling through my phone. I've got some books to read, but I just end up getting distracted and got a really short attention span. But yeah, social media I think sometimes I overshare a bit on social media, and I'm interested in social justice and sort of things like child welfare and institutional corruption. And also I, make my wastecast very much predominantly about my own condition, sort of journaling my story, where I've been, what I've been doing, as much for therapeutic reasons. I mean, the videos, they get about 25, 30 views most of the time. I've got one guy called Builder Bob who comments on basically every video, which is great because it helps with the SEO, I suppose. But other than that random troll, I don't have much of a following. I've got less than 150 followers on YouTube, and I deleted most of my Facebook friends on social media. I used to have 1,000. I've got about 250. I've got 300 followers now. I've got Facebook Pro because I've been verified. Whoops. Let's put it in as well. That's a bit better. But social media is not always good for other people. I read that Lily Allen had a pinwheel phone, whatever that is, that doesn't have any social media on it. But I've seen her using a phone in some of the videos, so I don't know really. But I'm just wondering what social media does to help people, what it does to help. You look at the Great Dictator speech. There's a bit about technology bringing us closer together, but sort of making us more detached and disengaged. And I've noticed Lily deleted all of her Instagram posts a few months back, and she did another sort of 10, and then there was no more again. Now she's changed her profile picture to the logo that says, or it's just Instagram's logo that says no posts yet. There's no profile picture. A lot of the videos looked photoshopped. A lot of them looked kind of like they were green screened. You could tell some of them obviously weren't green screen because she was wearing green, and that obviously means it's not green screen. So she was having holidays and enjoying herself, which is good to see. And there were some pictures of her children out on safari in Africa. Talking about the circle of life from The Lion King. I guess that's a Lion King reference. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm not famous. I'm very unpopular. There's a lot of people who know I am, unfortunately. But I don't know what it's like to be in the public eye. I don't know what it's like. I know what it's like to have a relationship breakup, though. I've had one of those, and that really affected me badly. And I know that it's not easy, being a performing artist, as well as having, a life, an emotion, and a family, careers, and being a human being. Kind of eats you up. It must do. Michael Jackson walked around the place with a mask on his face half the time, when he was one of the most adored and venerated performing artists in the world. Not that he didn't have his scandals, and I wouldn't in any way kind of espouse that there's any parallel here, obviously not. But I just wonder why there's a sort of media silence. You should put loads of kind of social justice and social commentary posts on Twitter too. about nepotism and kind of feminism, and she was a great role model for young people. And I think her music's brilliant, and I think she's just a kind of adorable person, really, and a very successful singer, because she's got very natural talent and affinity for performance and acting. Ironically, as I started making this video, or as I started writing the prompt, there's a new story there. I don't know what it is. I haven't watched it yet, but it was like, as soon as I started writing this prompt, that just popped up. But anyway, I'm going to read you what the internet thinks about Lily Allen's social media absence. Navigating the public gaze, understanding Lily Allen's evolving digital footprint and personal journey. Introduction: navigating the public gaze and fan concern. The public life of a prominent figure like Lily Allen often elicits a complex blend of admiration and concern from her audience. As an acclaimed artist, an outspoken cultural commentator, and as a mother, Allen has consistently connected with her fans through her distinctive candour. Recent shifts in her social media presence, coupled with public disclosures about her personal well-being, have naturally prompted questions among her dedicated following. This report aims to synthesise publicly available information from journalism and media to provide a comprehensive and empathetic understanding of the factors influencing Lily Allen's evolving public image and digital footprint, respecting her personal journey while addressing the specific points raised by her admirers. The evolving digital footprint, a chronicle of social media shifts. Lily Allen's engagement with social media has been characterised by periods of intense interaction, abrupt withdrawals, and strategic reconfigurations. Her current blank page on Instagram and largely inactive X, formerly Twitter, account are not isolated events, but rather the latest developments in her ongoing effort to manage the complexities of public life in the digital age. Initial Instagram purge privacy 2016. I didn't know about that. In January 2016, Lily garnered media attention when she deleted all of her Instagram pictures and set her account to private. This action occurred amidst widespread speculation regarding difficulties in her marriage to Sam Cooper, with whom she shares 2 daughters, Ethel and Marnie. Reports indicated that Cooper had moved out of their family home and was seen without his wedding ring, fueling these rumours. At this time, Allen's profile displayed 0 posts, despite having over 700,000 followers, signifying a complete removal of visual history on the platform. A notable detail from this period was the rumour that Allen had established a separate private Instagram account where she shared content related to crazy partying and intentionally prevented Sam from following her. This suggests an early attempt to compartmentalise her public and private life, potentially as a coping mechanism or a means to maintain a degree of personal autonomy away from spousal scrutiny. The immediate deletion and privatisation of her main Instagram account, coupled with the existence of a rumoured secret account, strongly indicate a deliberate effort to manage or escape both public and private scrutiny during a period of significant marital distress. This historical pattern suggests that her social media behaviour is often a reflection of her personal life stability and her need for control over her narrative when facing challenges. Recent activity and intentional disengagement, 24-25. The observation of recent sporadic stories and reels, followed by their erasure and a blank page, aligns with Allen's more recent deliberate approach to social media. In May 2025, Allen disclosed she was nearly 2 weeks into a complete social media ban, describing the initial withdrawal as akin to withdrawing from drugs. She initially felt incredibly low, attributing this to the absence of doom scrolling and sudden availability of time for reflection. This candid admission highlights her recognition of social media's addictive qualities and its profound impact on her mental state. Further evidence of her intentional control over digital engagement emerged in May 2024, when Allen and her then husband, David Harbour, adopted a unique strategy to unbreak their brains. Allen reveals she uses a kid's phone pinwheel that lacks social media and browsing capability. Crucially, They mutually control each other's application access, with her husband determining which app she can use and vice versa. This demonstrates a proactive and collaborative effort to limit digital exposure for the sake of mental well-being, reflecting a growing trend among public figures to implement structured digital detoxes and establish strict boundaries for their online presence. The user's mention of BBC Sounds Instagram. I tell you what, I haven't read my prompt. I forgot to do that. I'll just go back and read you the whole prompt. Or maybe I'll do it at the end. I'll do it at the end. Where were we? Dormant X account. This where further evidence of her intentional control over digital engagement emerged in May 2024 when Alan and her then husband David Harbour adopted we've read that bit. The user's mention of BBC Sounds Instagram page publishing her stories and reels, which were subsequently erased, is corroborated by a TikTok video from BBC Sounds itself, which posed the question, why did Instagram take Lily Allen's photos down? #MissMe. This indicates that even content officially linked to her podcast and shared through established media channels can be subject to platform policies such as monetization rules, adding another layer of complexity to her digital presence and the management of her content. These recent behaviours are not merely deletions, but part of a multifaceted, intentional strategy driven by a heightened awareness of mental health needs and a desire for greater control over her digital life. This underscores the interplay between personal well-being and platform mechanics and public image. The Dormant X account. Lily Allen's X, formerly Twitter account, has largely remained inactive for several years, a state accurately noted by the user. Its long-term disengagement stems from a history of severe online abuse. In 2017, she announced a break from Twitter after being subjected to a torrent of vitriol and taunts regarding the stillbirth of her son in 2010. Trolls blamed her for the tragedy, prompting her to clarify the heartbreaking circumstances, explaining that her son had died after his umbilical cord became wrapped around his neck. She also disclosed her struggles with mental health issues, including bipolar disorder, postnatal depression and PTSD, which were then weaponized against her by online abusers. Her account was reportedly managed by a friend, Dennis, who worked to block abusive users. While Allen initially stated she would be back, the account has remained largely inactive, indicating the profound and lasting psychological toll of such online harassment. The detailed accounts of the abuse, particularly those targeting such a sensitive and traumatic event, provide a clear and compelling explanation for her withdrawal. This was not a casual break, but a forced retreat due to severe psychological impact. The prolonged dormancy of her account since 2017 further highlights the deep and enduring nature of this trauma. This situation illuminates the darker aspects of social media and where platforms can become arenas for harassment, compelling individuals, especially those with vulnerabilities, to withdraw. It also emphasises the importance of platform responsibility in combating abuse and the personal costs of public transparency. So November 2005, I'll just link this whole thing in, because reading that's going to be time consuming. Navigating personal turmoil, therapy, recovery and relationships. Lily Allen's recent public disclosures reveal an individual actively confronting significant personal challenges, seeking professional assistance and openly reflecting on her past to facilitate her recovery. Seeking support, rehabilitation and therapeutic journeys. In January 2025, Allen announced a temporary hiatus from her BBC podcast Miss Me, citing poor mental health and a tough period in her life. She candidly shared, "I'm not really in a good place. I know I've been talking about it for months, but I've been spiralling and it's got out of control." She also reported experiencing panic attacks. These statements are clear indicators of a mental health crisis that necessitated a break from her public duties and search for professional help. I've been in a mental hospital the whole time too, actually. Crucially, she explicitly denied entering drug rehabilitation or having relapsed emphasising her 5 years of sobriety. She doesn't use those things as a crutch anymore. She expressed frustration over horrible blind items on the internet and vicious rumours suggesting drug use, underscoring the persistent stigma and misinformation she faces as a public figure. This firm denial is vital defence of her sobriety and a direct counter to harmful public speculation, highlighting the immense pressure celebrities endure to manage their public images, especially concerning past struggles. Upon her return to the podcast in February 25, Allen revealed she checked into a treatment centre for a few weeks to address emotional turmoil. During her stay, she participated in lots of group therapy and some individual therapy, as well as a lot of shadow work, lots of work about my inner child stuff, and all the good shit. She conveyed deep gratitude for the time and space that's afforded her. The specific mention of her inner child stuff directly addresses and clarifies the user's query about a child therapist. This term refers to a common therapeutic approach for adults that addresses past experiences and unresolved emotional issues from one's own childhood, distinct from therapy for a minor. This distinction is important for understanding the nature of her treatment. The decision to seek this intensive treatment was profoundly connected to her role as a mother. She stated, "I'm in a situation now where I really have to be my strongest self for them," referring to her daughters. She felt it was getting harder and harder for me to be able to show up for them in the way that they need me to, and described leaving them as a really big decision, made ultimately for them. This reveals a powerful underlying motivation for her recovery, framing her self-care as a parental responsibility and adding depth to her personal journey. Her public transparency about seeking mental health treatment, while firmly denying drug relapse, contributes significantly to delegitimising mental health struggles and challenges persistent tabloid rumours about addiction, positioning her as a role model for honest self-care. Addressing relationship changes and motherhood reflections. Allen's recent period of emotional turmoil and subsequent treatment followed her split from Stranger Things actor David Harbour in December of last year after 4 years of marriage. Reports indicate that the breakdown was sparked by the discovery that Harbour had been using a celebrity dating app Raya. This follows her earlier separation from Sam Cooper, which coincided with her 2016 Instagram purge. These recurring patterns suggest that significant relationship changes consistently precede periods of personal turmoil and shifts in her public image, highlighting how her personal relationships profoundly influence her public life and well-being. The users in query also referenced news articles stating Lily Allen had children, but for all the wrong reasons. Allen addressed this candidly on her Miss Me podcast in September 2024. She explained that she had her 2 daughters, Marnie and Ethel, in her mid-20s during a high-pressure point in her career, feeling overwhelmed. Her primary motivation, she stated, was a yearning for unconditional love, which I haven't felt in my life since I was a child, and a desire for respite from career demands. She also admitted not fully understanding what she was getting into. This provides crucial context, transforming a potentially controversial statement into a deeply personal and honest reflection on her motivations and the realities of balancing a high-profile career with family life. It connects to her own childhood experiences and challenges the having it all myth. She further elaborated that having children ruined her career, but that she made the decision to prioritise them to avoid inflicting the nasty scars of being an absent parent, drawing a parallel to her own upbringing. This frankness about motherhood challenges idealised celebrity narratives, offering a relatable, albeit raw, perspective on the sacrifices. I'm just trying to listen for the footsteps in the corridor, and I've lost where the bit I was reading. It's just disappeared. This frankness about motherhood challenges idealised celebrity narratives, offering a relatable, albeit raw, perspective on the sacrifices and complex motivations involved. More recently, in June 25, Allen was observed on an apparent first date with actor James Norton at a London festival, reportedly having met on the celebrity dating app Raya. This suggests a cautious step back into the dating world following her separation from Harbour, indicating a phase of recovery and re-engagement in her personal life. Balancing public life and personal well-being. career and image management. Despite her personal challenges and intentional disengagement from certain aspects of social media, Lily Allen remains a prominent figure in entertainment, strategically managing her public presence through diverse professional avenues. The stage and podcast professional engagements, Allen continues to maintain a high level of professional activity, particularly in theatre and podcasting. She's currently starring as the enigmatic and destructive Hedda Gabler in a new adaptation of Henrik Ibsen's play Hedda, which is rerunning at the Ustinov Studio, Bath, from July 25th to August 23rd, 2025. This demanding lead role in a classic play follows her critically acclaimed West End appearances in Triple 222, A Ghost Story, and The Pillow Man. She also co-hosts a popular BBC Sounds podcast, Miss Me, with her lifelong friend Mikita Oliver, a show that began in March 2024. While she took a temporary break from the podcast in early 2025 due to her mental health, Oliver continued in her absence, and Allen has since returned. The podcast serves as a platform for candid discussions, including her reflections on motherhood and mental health, providing a controlled environment for sharing personal insights. These significant professional commitments, particularly the intense schedule of a stage production, can inherently account for sporadic expressions online, as her focus and time are primarily directed towards these demanding roles. This suggests a prioritisation of her craft and personal well-being over constant online engagement with the podcast and theatre roles, providing alternative, more controlled avenues for public interaction and creative expression, reducing her reliance on potentially toxic social media platforms. Strategic disengagement and public perception. Allen's journey reflects a conscious and evolving effort to manage her public image and personal well-being. Her early career saw her effectively leverage social media platforms like MySpace for success, where she began publishing demos in November 2005, attracting thousands of listeners and leading to airplay on BBC Radio 1. However, subsequent experiences with severe online abuse and the psychological toll of constant engagement have led to a more guarded strategic approach to her digital presence. Beyond traditional platforms, Allen's diversified her digital footprint in unique ways. In 2024, she opened an OnlyFans account to sell pictures and videos of her feet, an endeavour she stated earned her more than her Spotify listeners. This move, while unconventional, represents a direct monetization strategy, grants her significant control over content and audience interaction, effectively bypassing the broader, often unregulated scrutiny of mainstream social media. This is a prime example of a public figure reclaiming agency over their image and income, demonstrating a creative and direct way to engage a specific audience while maintaining distance from the pressures of mainstream platforms. Her candidness on her podcast about mental health struggles. I mean, I've been in a mental hospital for over a year now, so I'm interested in what she's got to say about her own mental health and everyone's really. Past addictions, while emphasising her continued sobriety and her complex reflections on motherhood, provides a level of transparency that, while exposing her to some commentary, also allows her to shape her narrative and connect with fans on a deeper, more authentic level. Her overall approach to public life now is one of deliberate control and diversification. She's not merely withdrawing, she's strategically re-engaging on her own terms, utilising platforms that offer greater autonomy and less exposure to the negative aspects of celebrity. This represents a sophisticated form of image management, prioritises well-being. Conclusion: a respectful understanding of a public figure's journey. Lily Allen's journey, as understood from the public sphere, is a compelling narrative of resilience, self-discovery, and strategic adaptation in the face of intense public scrutiny and profound personal challenges. Her sporadic social media activity and the deletion of Instagram posts are not arbitrary actions, but are deeply rooted in her ongoing efforts to prioritise her mental well-being, navigate complex relationships, and define her public presence on her own terms. From the early reactive purges linked to marital strife to her more recent intentional digital detoxes, therapeutic engagements, her actions constantly reflect a conscious striving for a healthier balance. Her candidness about her struggles, including her time in a treatment centre for emotional turmoil, and her reflections on motherhood, while carefully distinguishing her path from drug relapse, serves as a powerful testament to her commitment to transparency and destigmatisation. Simultaneously, her continued success in theatre and podcasting. Alongside her innovative ventures like OnlyFans, demonstrates a strategic diversification of her career that allows her to maintain creative output and audience connection without succumbing to the pervasive pressures of traditional online engagement. For a fan, understanding these multifaceted reasons offers a more nuanced and respectful perspective. It serves as a reminder that even outspoken public figures navigate intricate personal landscapes, and their public images are often carefully curated reflections of a deeper ongoing journey towards recovery and self-management. Lily Allen continues to be a compelling figure, not just for her artistic talent and social commentary, but for her courage in openly addressing her vulnerabilities and actively shaping a life that supports her holistic well-being. What I asked was, why has Lily Allen stopped using social media as well as deleting all the posts on Instagram? I saw that in recent months she's been at a rehabilitation centre and attended therapy, although for some reason her recommendation from a friend found her at a child therapist. I'm aware of her split with her partner and have seen other news articles saying that she had children but for all the wrong reasons. I noticed she deleted all her Instagram posts, some of which admittedly looked to have been heavily doctored with something like Adobe Photoshop to enhance them, but then began sharing stories and reels each day, which were also published by BBC Sound's Instagram page, but these two were all erased. There's now just a blank page and stories have been sporadic. I noticed in one recent article that she had been out on a date with a guy and so is hopefully recovering from what led her to therapy and rehab. It's not appropriate for anyone to espouse uninformed presuppositions about other people's welfare, especially those who are having a tough time. But what can be gleaned from the public sphere of journalism and the recent tabloids and media about her recovery? I'm aware there's a play she's starring in, Heather or something, which might account for the sporadic expressions online. But I'm reaching the point, as I'm sure many of her fans are, of worrying a little bit that her public-facing image might be becoming detrimental. Could be due to instruction from her management or image consultancy, or indeed something entirely different. I have a great deal of admiration and respect for Lily, both as an artist, as well as a mother, and also as an often outspoken icon, resounding social commentary in an inimitable way, a great role model for young women. Sorry, I'm half asleep today. Her ex account is pretty much dormant too. Break from social media is often of benefit, and I might be wrong here, but is there anything published that might explain her sporadic social media activity and removal of every Instagram post, or could it be something else? Let's go wildly into the void of social media and see what the new story is.
The theme for next week's Listen Bitch is slang. Go on, give us a bit of Pete Tong. Give us a little classic apples and pears.
That's Cockney rhyming slang. I mean, I feel like, well, let's talk about it next week.
Let me just throw that WhatsApp number out like it's spicy and too hot to handle. 08000 30 40 90. 08000 30 40 90.
Great. Slang. Well, that's a 28-minute video. I'm going to go and have my breakfast. I had a bowl of Cocoa Pops last night for a snack very late at night. I'm going to get fat soon. Thanks for watching, and never judge celebrities for not being all over the telly if they don't want to be, because life is difficult for everyone, especially those who are in the public eye.